Matthew Vaughn wants to adapt a popular Superman comic with Henry Cavill. In an interview with the Post-Credit podcast, Matthew Vaughn, the director of Kick-Ass and X-Men: First Class, expressed his ambition to produce a Superman film. After discussing the upcoming Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow film at DC Studios, Vaughn was questioned about the Superman, Red Son comic book series written by his friend Mark Millar. The Elseworlds comic book imagines how Superman might be different if he were from the Soviet Union rather than the United States, and Vaughn stated that the tale has only become more important since its first release in 2003. He then considered making a Red Son film with his Argyle star Henry Cavill portraying a variant of his Man of Steel character. "I thought Red Son was one of the cleverest comics I'd ever read, and the current world we're living in. It's certainly become a lot more relevant because ignorance causes more issues, and I think the more we learn about Russia and the Russian history," Vaughn went on to say. The director then said, "Wow, could you imagine remaking Red Son with Henry Cavill? That would make an interesting movie." While James Gunn hired David Corenswet as the DCU's Man of Steel and Superman Legacy, Matthew Vaughn may direct a Red Son film. That's because there will be DC films produced under the Elseworlds label that are unrelated to the events of the DCU. Gunn recently confirmed that, despite the creation of Superman Legacy, J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates are still working on a standalone Superman feature. The question is whether Gunn and fellow DC Studios co-CEO Peter Safran desire a third Superman feature anytime soon, particularly with Henry Cavill, who is moving on to Highlander and Warhammer 40 Kelvin after putting up the cape for good in 2022. This is not the first time Vaughn has proposed a Superman project. The director previously said that he collaborated with Superman Red Son writer Mark Millar to offer Warner Bros. A trilogy of Superman films prior to the release of Man of Steel starring Henry Cavill. Vaughn stated that the studio was not interested and that the project was dropped, but he did not elaborate on what he and Millar had in mind for this particular trilogy of films. Meanwhile, the next Man of Steel will take flight on the big screen next year, when Superman Legacy hits theaters on July 11, 2025.